Expressed a willingness to try to resolve these, so we've got 12, 13 minutes. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right, well, it's good to see you again, Mr. Shrew.
Good to see you as well.
We do have a couple issues we'd like to take care of, so
Great.
we'll go ahead and get started.
Great.
Once again, really appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate your expertise. You know, the tax code got a little complex, and that's why I hired these experts to help me out here.
You
so,
hired a great firm.
Absolutely, mentioned that. I love them. So hopefully we'll get together and resolve these issues.
Fantastic.
Okay, well, we wanted to start with the bond interest today.
Okay.
In regards to the U.S. Treasury bond, we agree with you that should be taxable, and Mr. Paul here will add that $155,000.
I've been doing this for 18 years. I got
Yeah.
something right.
We appreciate you catching that.
All right.
So next for the American Samoa bond, under Section 103, interest on state and local bonds is tax exempt, and IRC
American
section.
Samoa is a state.
Well, actually,
So good.
in Section 7871, it says that Indian tribal governments are treated as states for the purposes of that 103 section.
So it's more than a cookie.
More than a cookie. So American Samoa is an Indian tribal thing, huh? What? I thought it was there's a tribe. I'm not sure, but you've probably done your homework on that. I guess we can allow that.
Okay, great. Moving on to the Wake Forest Medical Center bond.
Yeah.
Again, according to Section 103, private activity bonds that are qualified bonds are tax exempt. So under Section 145C, it says that qualified hospital bonds mean any bonds that 95% or more of the proceeds are allocated for use of the hospital. So using that section, we believe that the interest on those bonds is tax exempt.
You know, I forgot about that. That makes a lot of sense. I think we have to grant that as well.
Okay, great.
Great.
All right.
Okay, well then moving on, we also want to talk about the Emily Carr painting that Mr. Paul donated
The
to.
$500,000 painting.
Yes, and we will admit he did do that incorrectly. It wasn't $500 of reduction, but we do believe that Mr. Paul is entitled to deduct it at cost. Section 170 of the code actually talks about some non-cash contributions, and it says that basically capital contributions are deductible at fair market value less any capital gains that they would receive if the item was sold. So here's the receipt for the item that was purchased at $325,000, and we believe he made the mistake of writing it at $500,000 because he was made an offer for $500 by the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So given that being fair market value of what somebody would be willing to pay for it, we say that less that you could deduct it at cost.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I see you owned it. I see you paid for it. That makes a lot of sense. And sounds like somebody wanted to buy it from you. But do you have anything from Wake Forest, any appraisals, any other documents?
We do have an appraisal, yes. This was given, and we do understand that he had messed up a little of the procedural aspect of
Just
filing. A little bit more. You got a good one on that one. But in any case, there are penalties we understand for not following those procedures, and he is willing to accept those.
So this is actually good. The appraisal is in 2012, which that's important. If he hadn't had the appraisal before he filed his tax return, then I couldn't grant anything. So that's pretty important. Any other documentation that you have? And
Well, this is
for 550. What deduction is it that you want me to grant?
the $325 at cost for the painting that he purchased.
Okay.
No, doesn't the code say it's that you need an appraisal and it's for fair market value, and you deduct the fair market value unless the organization you're donating to sells it, and that's when the cost comes in?
Yeah, they only want a $325,000, but do you have what's that form number that they always put?
Oh, Form 828.
Yeah, that one.
This one. Yeah, we do actually have that. There's also
That's a requirement. You got to
Yes,
file that, Mr.
yes.
Paul, and you didn't file that. So,
and he realizes that, and he would accept the penalty for that as well.
well, it's I mean, obviously it's a requirement. The penalty would be no deduction, but I do have leeway. Why was it you didn't file that?
just, I wasn't sure that that was the requirement, like I said, tax
Okay.
pages will-
He actually mistakenly wrote it as a cash contribution, just thinking of his previous contributions
That's
before it had all been
understandable.
cashed.
That's
So he
understandable.
just didn't realize there were different
Yeah,
requirements.
we're good mood today. I think we can grant the deduction for 325.
Perfect, thank you.
Well, now we're gonna move on to the business loan with Jason Paul.
The gift, yeah, the gift to his cousin.
Well, actually,
Can't wait
under
to hear this.
section 166A1, a taxpayer is allowed to deduct a wholly worthless business loan. So today we want to prove to you that it was
So
a
it's a loan?
business loan and it is wholly worthless at this time.
Have at it.
So Mr. Paul loaned the money to Jason Paul in the intent to make money off of this business agreement in the future. So he's made two similar loans to this in the past, in 2005 and 2006, with Deshaun Wood and Derek Byers. And here we have the loan agreement. And he,
You can make actual money off these agreements?
yes, he currently is getting 15% of their salaries from their professional basketball careers for the rest of their careers. So you can see that this is a really lucrative type
And
of
that's been
loan.
reported on a tax return?
Yes, that's in section, or Schedule C.
Well, that's pretty strong evidence you believe it to be a business and we're paying taxes on it, right?
Right, and you can see there the statistics of those two players and how successful they are. So that's what Mr. Paul was trying to replicate with this loan to Jason.
Okay.
So he made a similar agreement with him, and he fully intended to get the principal back from Jason. He really
But he
tried his
can't pay.
best to get it back.
You tried? Get it
Yeah,
paid?
he sent his agent after Jason quite a few times.
Ah,
So,
that should be interesting. Right? What's Jason doing now?
Well, he had a knee injury,
Oh, too bad.
so he really can't play pro ball anymore.
Okay.
So,
I assume he's doing something to earn a living though, right?
well, he's went into school here at Wake Forest.
I've heard that's a great school.
Expensive school.
Yeah, he got a full
All those
full
students
ride.
make tons of
so-
money when they get out of Wake. How can he not pay back the loan?
Well, he certainly is not making any money right now. So,
But he will in the future, right?
well,
He's done bad this quarter, actually. He hasn't had great grades, so
Yeah.
we don't really expect him to.
he might not
Did a
even
great
graduate.
job at school.
So.
Well, that's speculative. So what makes me think that the loan's worthless then?
Okay, well, actually, Jason Paul entered bankruptcy,
Oh,
and
that matters.
under Regulation 1.66-2, bankruptcy is an indication of the worthlessness of a loan.
Last time I checked, that's definitely true.
So, and also in that packet, you'll see an email from Jason saying that he will not be able to pay the loan back at all. So,
When did he enter bankruptcy?
he got a lawyer in 2011 to start the processes, and
So he wasn't done with the process?
right, but also under Regulation 1.662, it says that you don't have to actually finish the bankruptcy process. Finishing it is not the indicator of worthlessness.
Interesting. So where is that at? In C2?
Yes.
Bankruptcy cases of debt and worthless for settlement in some instances. Interesting. That's a good point. I think I'm satisfied that you can have that as a business loan in 2011.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Well, now we'd like to move on to the moving expenses deduction that Mr. Paul took. We believe he took $165,000.
Vacation and hotel. Yeah.
Those were necessary expenses for Mr. Paul, actually. We believe that the $165,000, a good portion of that should be deductible.
You can actually see this here in invoice.
Yeah.
Big numbers.
There's 4 sections that we want to look at. The transporting expenses, $63,100. That was the amount he deducted. He incurred $68,100, but there was a discount for Pumpers players. But under section 217, you're allowed to deduct expenses related to moving household goods and personal effects. And so that clearly states that he was loading and transporting his personal household goods. So we feel that entire amount should be deductible.
Okay, I understand that piece. Continue.
So next, we'd like to look at the storage expenses, also in that invoice.
Yeah.
Mr. Paul deducted $22,500, and if you look at Regulation 1.217-2, you can see that expenses of storing and insuring household goods and personal effects are deductible as long as they're within a consecutive 30-day period during the move, after you've moved out of your house before you move into a new house. So you can see that
20 days.
20 days, yeah. So it meets
That
the
makes sense, we can move on.
Okay, and then if you look at travel expenses, this is clearly where Mr. Paul made some missteps.
Okay.
We don't really know where he got the $40,900 number to deduct from that, but We do think that he should be able to deduct the $4,500 May 1st flight, because that was the actual flight that was in connection with the move.
Okay,
So we think that would be fair.
okay.
And then finally, we want to look at the lodging. He stayed for 22 nights in a nice hotel over in LA. According to regulation 1.217, you're allowed to deduct expenses for temporary living quarters, as long as, again, there's a 30-day period that has to be consecutive days. And he meets that as well with the 22 nights, so we feel that one should also be deductible.
No, I think that's pretty nice to be in the presidential suite. How do you feel about the room service amount there?
Room service amount, we don't want to deduct, we'll concede that one.
Okay.
Security is important because he's not an average person, he needs the security for his family, so that's part of the living expenses we feel are really reasonable.
You know, you've gone through expenses, you've tried to apply the law, and it seems reasonable what you asked for.
Great.
Okay.
Go ahead and move on.
Alright, about the 2011 NBA All-Star
Oh, yeah.
prize, the BMW 6 Series.
Can I say one thing, Mr. Paul, I'm a big fan. You know, I go to the Clippers games, I sit down with Billy Crystal and stuff, you know, I grew up on Deep Farm, but man, I got the game myself.
I bet you do.
You know, I just want to
Get that.
All right. Just wanna say, I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
Okay, so we agree with you that he does need to add that 110,000 to his gross income.
That's something of value worth 110,000, you gotta pay tax on it, right?
Exactly.
All right, so what's next?
We do believe that he is also entitled to a charitable contribution deduction.
Go the car away?
Yes, he did.
Tell me more.
He gave it away on November 10th
Okay,
to Wake Forest NPR,
okay.
which is a qualified charitable.
Yeah, familiar with them.
Okay, they're a qualified institution, and so obviously it's a used car, and
What do you want to deduct?
we want to deduct.
So close.